Penguin Random House Canada presents Shame on Me, An Anatomy of Race and Belonging by Tessa McWatt. Read for you by the author. For Sicily. You think your pain and your heartbreak are unprecedented in the history of the world, but then you read. James Baldwin. Hypothesis. A young Chinese woman, so young, nearly a girl, runs through a field of sugarcane. Her cotton shift is torn, her hair wild, there is fear on her face. My grandmother. She is escaping something terrible. Her legs are scraped by sharp stalks, blood is dripping from her knee. I imagine her eyes are streaming with tears. She is running because in her countryside village in Demerara, British Guiana, she has just been raped by her uncle. I imagine my Indian ancestor as a strong woman, perhaps originally from Oudh, modern Uttar Pradesh, who could squat easily, hunched over green, sword-like leaves sprouting from emerging stalks. She is exhausted, pulling weeds out of unfamiliar soil in British Guiana. Thin, fragile from the 112-day journey by ship, she is lucky to have survived on a daily ration of beef or pork, suet, a biscuit, a few raisins. My Arawak ancestor is in a dugout corral on the Boroboro River that runs through the Iwakrama forest. She paddles past a giant otter sunning itself on a tree stump. My Portuguese ancestor, perhaps from Madeira, arrives among the first free immigrants to the colony in 1835. In her small Hessian sack, she has hidden 20 delicate squares of lace that she stitched while watching her father haul his fishing nets from the sea. There is a rumor about my French ancestor, but she will never confirm for anyone in the colony that her father had a chalice and a silver ring with a hexagram pattern, the Star of David, hidden in his suitcase when he arrived from France. My African great-great-grandmother is lost among trees that don't know her name, don't speak her language. Trees that have erased her. She can't find the path that will take her to the clearing. She is getting weak. I reach out to take her by the hand. My Scottish great-great-great-grandmother takes her last breath in East Lothian, and the book she has been reading falls across her chest. She never knows about the brown women with their hands in the soil. Experiment. What are you? The ducklings liked the new island so much that they decided to live there. All day long they follow the swan boats and eat peanuts. 8 years old, I am sitting near the back of the room in the grade 3 classroom of my suburban Toronto elementary school. My desk is close to the window and I'm easily distracted by the birds. One particular bird preens itself on a branch, its feathers shuddering up and down. I'm not paying much attention to what the teacher is saying. We've been reading a book out loud together and I haven't been asked to read. I feel off the hook, set free to daydream. A few minutes into daydreaming, I feel a change of tone in the teacher's voice and the class goes quiet. I snap out of my reverie. There's a question in the air. I look around at my classmates who are looking at each other in search of an answer. Anyone know what that means, the teacher says? Oh, I think, I'd better pay attention because there's a new word and I will need to know it. Does anyone know what Negro means? Good question, I think. What does that mean? I continue to look around at my classmates to see if anyone is going to come up with the answer or even a guess. The teacher seems anxious. This word has weight. Kenneth Percy puts up his hand. The teacher invites him to speak. Yeah, Tessa, he says, as he points towards me at the back of the room. Everyone in the class turns to face me. I freeze, my mind goes blank, and all that is going on in my body is a low fizz like a misfiring electric circuit. As I now realize, my teacher tries to rescue me from something she herself sees as a slur, a word that is fine in a book, but not in person. Oh no, not Tessa, she says, to comfort me and all who might worry about what is in their midst. The other kids continue to stare at me. Doing her job as the class's moral compass, she thinks fast. No, Tessa's something else. The misfiring electric circuit spews shocks through my cheeks, my arms and my legs, which begin to shake. What are you, Tessa? What am I? I have no idea what she's asking. I feel as if I've failed a major test. I should have been paying attention. I should know how to answer this. You know, people are certain things, she says, still trying to help, but wounding me deeper and deeper with every second she allows the class's eyes to remain on me. Things like, say, Mexican. She waits, but I have nothing. Brazilian, Filipino. She carries on, offering possibilities she sees in my face, but in that moment I hear only words that describe all the things that everyone else in the room isn't. She waits. The circuit hums, and it becomes so unbearable that I fold my arms on the desk and put my head onto them. I go away, deep inside myself. I don't remember where I go or for how long, but when I look up again, everyone in the class has gone to recess, and the teacher is wiping the board. She doesn't try to speak to me as I get up from my desk and leave the room, heavier now, saddled with something corrosive. There, with my head in my arms, I learned that I could disappear. I could become invisible. I wondered why the teacher had not asked anyone else in the class the question, why my best friend didn't have to answer it. I kept these questions and my invisibility to myself. I understood, without being able to articulate it, that language had the power to change me completely with the utterance of one word. I had known what black was. Our extended family and friends were an array of shades, and I had known where I was from, but that wasn't what I had been asked. Negro was a word like species, a scientific word that clever people knew, but I didn't. I began to pay attention to the power of words. In being asked what I was and realizing I didn't know, I set off to find out. I believe it was the moment I became a writer. Images visit me now as the sun sinks below the North London rooftops in Kilburn, where I sit at my desk thinking about shame. They come in flashes like newsreels from the past. There is my Chinese grandmother running from rape. She is running also because she comes from a family of people who have running away in their DNA. Born to Chinese parents who had arrived in British Guiana from Hong Kong towards the end of the 19th century, my grandmother's family had escaped the Sino-Japanese War after a different uncle, a dentist, had been strapped to his own dentist's chair and shot in the head by a Japanese soldier. When I imagine my grandmother as a young woman, she is running. My mother gave me the story of her mother's rape when I was a teenager. Granny ran away from the countryside, she said, and nearly whispered the rest. I assumed it was her way of warning me about the perils of being a woman, as she had warned me about so many perils as a child. But it was the running and not the rape that stayed with me. I wanted to run towards something that was mine, like most teenagers do, and I wanted to understand what to do with all the words in constant motion in my mind. My mother often let slip nuggets of family history that were at times uncomfortable, at other times mysterious and poetic, and at still other times so distant and unreachable that they could only become myth. She had no way of knowing that she was feeding a writer, and I had no way of knowing what truths she was avoiding or concocting. Like most families, mine is steeped in the anecdotes of grandparents and parents who recount their histories through the lens of desire, aspiration, loss, and shame. We Caribbean families rely heavily on oral histories because we come from ruptured roots, transplantation, and whispered heritages related to slavery and colonialism. For substantial strands of my ancestry, there are no solid family trees or traceable lineages. So there's no knowing for sure where, when, or why my ancestors fled or were forcibly taken, or how they arrived in what officially became British Guiana in 1831. Of course, there are the grandparents I knew and many uncles and aunts, both blood-related and not, but I can only imagine those who went before them. I know from stories that my ancestry includes Scottish, English, French, Portuguese, Indian, Amerindian, African, and Chinese.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?